Okay, as a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, I have two things. Well, actually three. First off, rest in peace to Caleb Wilson, because all he wanted to do was join Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and do what we all want to do, which is do our community service and make this world a better place for us and our community. Number two, we need to do better with checking our sorors and checking your brothers. I could already have an idea on what happened. A member went on a power trip. Little did you know, if you hit somebody hard enough in the chest in the right spot, they could. But nobody was thinking about that. Everybody was thinking about what they was thinking about at the time until stuff hit the fan. Then you turn around and lied about it. But that's not neither here or there. See, some of y'all are lame before the letters and really be lame after the letters. And it shows. You gotta be tough and Billy Badass to show that you're made. And I came from this and I went through this. Some of y'all be telling y'all processes. It just be like, dude, what? Until you Billy Badass, do something like this. And then you get a chapter snatched and your future gone in the same night. Number two, as a whole, as a D9 organization in this political climate, stop doing dumb shit. This is not the climate to be doing stuff like this. We are literally trending for the wrong reasons. People already think that us as D9 worship the devil. Use the term rituals. We got to cut that right now, like here and now. Because our organizations are not going to survive if this keeps going on. This is not the 80s and 90s anymore. Some of the stuff that used to happen can't happen now. And we all got to get with the program. We all got to get real. Or else we are not going to be able to serve our community and our people anymore as members of the Divine Nine. As a member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated for me. And please remember why our founders created these spaces and created these organizations. Because the stuff y'all be doing, I can guarantee you they wasn't doing back in the day when they first founded our organizations. So I'm going to get off my pedestal. Y'all can feel the way that y'all feel, but I don't want to see no probates. I don't want to see nobody decorated rooms. Like, everybody need a time out.
So today I want to share something with you, something that is very much related with what we are going to discuss today in this video. Yep, I'm going to read for you, to you, from the Holy Books. Yeah. The book we are going to read is 1 John chapter 2 verse 15 to 17. 1 John chapter 2 verse 15 to 17. It says this: do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in this world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever. Yeah? Do not love the world or anything in it. If you love the world, the love of the Father is not in you. Basically, it says, don't love this world. It doesn't have something good to offer you. Maybe it will give you some false comfort, but in the end, it is you who is losing. And also Jesus, in another chapter, he says, in another book, he says, for what does it benefit a man, or what will a man gain if he has the whole world and he loses his soul? It tells us that the soul is way more powerful, way more expensive, way more valuable than any worldly resources. Yeah. Now, Jesus is warning about prioritizing worldly desires and possessions over God, as these are fleeting and ultimately leading to a life that is not pleasing to God. Right? And I believe that you have learned from the title and from what we are going to discuss now, you've heard of a gentleman called Caleb Robinson. It's so unfortunate that the gentleman lost his life over something I find disturbing and something very silly. It is a very silly way to depart. I don't know how I will depart, but I pray God He makes it peaceful. You know, at least may I depart doing good things. Not good things, but what is right according to the Most High, not man. Now, this gentleman called Caleb Robinson died while he was performing a fraternity hazing. I have never heard of the word hazing till today. Never heard. But fraternity is like a branch. Fraternity is like a school. In campuses, we have school of education, school of medicine, school of pharmacy. You get the idea. So what is fraternity hazing? Every year, there seems to be another story about the dangers of hazing. But what exactly is this hazing? Hazing is defined by this: any activity expected of someone joining or participating in a group that humiliates first, second, it degrades, third, it abuses, and fourth, it endangers them, regardless of a person's willingness to participate. So if you want to join our group, if you want to be part of this, you have to follow these things. If you follow these things, now you become part of us. That is hazing. And different groups, occultic groups, let me be precise, have different hazing parameters. They have different hazing requirements. They'll tell you, bring a black chicken, bring a feather from a donkey. Where will you get a feather from a donkey? Some very nasty things they'll make you do. I don't want to speak them. It's so much disturbing. So this gentleman was performing a fraternity hazing in order to join a group, a school club known as a Greek fraternity. You know, the Greeks have some alphabet. It starts from alpha and it ends with omega. So he was going to perform. He wanted to join the Greek fraternity called Phi and Sci-Fi, something like that. And he died, you know. Now, there are different components that define what is hazing. First, hazing occurs in a group context. Second, it is very much humiliating, degrading, or endangering behavior. And third, it happens regardless of an individual's willingness to participate. You like, you don't like, it will happen. Yes. And now, I want us to listen to the black community, what they have to say about this issue. I shall get back with more details and also with a better context that will have been gathered from these videos. Let's dive in.
All right. Hello, everybody. So yesterday I did a clip on Caleb Wilson. I'm calling him by name today because he deserves to have his name honored. And the reason why I will call him by his name is that I understand that for some people that pledge organizations, it's recognition. It's the needing to be accepted, the feeling of being accepted, and wanting your peers to accept you, right? It's people being communal in college. And something hit me. There are two things about the story with Caleb that resonate with me. And I didn't realize it would hit this close to home until I really just sat down and thought about some things. So I was in a band in high school, right? Anyone that is from the Houston area, you know about Willow Ridge, especially if you're around my age group where you go back to like the early 2000s, late 90s, you know about Willow Ridge. They went to the Rose Bowl. They went to Hawaii, went to New York in the Macy's Day Parade. They went to Florida for the Orange Bowl. Had an unbeatable record for a decade and a half. And we had something that we call crabs. So anybody that is at an HBCU and they're in a band, we know about crabs. They are your freshmen. They are treated horribly. They are put at the back of the line, all of that. I didn't go through a crab process in college because I'm not going to go through that. You know, I'm not going to get beat for an instrument. Sadly, I had to experience it when I was in high school. And that culture comes from the fact that the band director went to Texas Southern University. The band director and the following directors around them, who were also black people. One had went to Southern, another one had went to TSU with the main director. So that culture in band was also there in high school. And in my honest opinion, I think that Caleb was set up for that kind of hazing simply based on the fact that the band made it okay. That's where I'm going with this clip. So Southern, as of now, has suspended all fraternities and sororities at the school because of what has happened. Honestly, you need to look at that band first. And you need to look at them and what they allow all over an instrument. It also made me think about a brother that lost his life at FAMU about, I want to say probably about a little under 10, if not over 10 years ago, where they beat him over an instrument. So the hazing culture is not simply in the Greeks. The hazing culture is in pretty much every vestige of any institution of higher education. And keep in mind, as black folks, we learned this from white people. Okay? Bullying culture in the educational spaces, that comes from white culture. We do it because we learn from them. I'll end it with this. Even when you look at the history of Alpha, and that's my fraternity, and you look at how one of our founders got the blueprint for making Alpha, he got it from learning from SAI on the campus of Cornell University. He got it from learning about things that were going on in Masonry. That's how we started to do this in our culture. And it's about time that we think about, do we continue to do that? Because we can't do it. I'm one of those alphas that refuses to be involved in the pledge process. I'm just not doing it. And it's because I realize what that does to a person. I've seen where some seemingly innocent person has gone through that process. They didn't like it, but they got the letters and they feel that they must continue to do it because it was done to them. I didn't like it when it was done to me. In fact, I'll close it out like this. One brother hit me and we almost squared up in that room. And they had to remove me to calm me down so I would not act up with this man. That's not everybody. And I said I was going to end it, but I got to say this. My mother did the same thing when she pledged AKA. People will do to you what you allow. And that is why I said what I said about look at the band, and that the band made it okay for him to think that hazing was okay. That someone had to beat you into submission, or you had to get hit the hardest just to be recognized. That's not love, that's abuse. It's trauma, and it's Stockholm Syndrome when you think about it.
Fraternities and sororities remind me of gangs. I'm thinking about this whole Caleb Wilson situation and how he died during the hazing process. It definitely gives gang initiation. I'm not saying everybody that's in a fraternity and sorority is a criminal. No. I think that these people are amazing. They do amazing things for their community and their school, even the members. But also from the way that they, get members to join and try to recruit, and then the initiation process, it definitely gives gang. Even the colors that they wear, it's like, why does this make me feel like I'm joining a gang? I remember when I was in college and doing research about it, it's just like, why do you have to harm or put your hands on somebody who could be a potential member of your organization? You know what I mean? It just didn't sit right with me, and this situation shows that I'm not wrong. And I'm not saying that all fraternities and sororities do this. I don't know. We only know what we know. They are very, hush-hush, secretive. But, yeah, it definitely gives gang life. I don't know.
I just want to say that when I say that some of these D9 organizations operate like gangs, I literally mean it. I don't know if y'all remember, but back in 2002, some of y'all weren't even born, these two young ladies lost their lives pledging for AKAs. And I will never forget Kristen High's mom crying, pleading and begging the other girls who were there, who were also pledging, to speak out and say what happened. And that's what when I say that these organizations operate like gangs, I literally mean it. Because at what point do two people lose their lives and the other girls are tight-lipped and they're saying they don't know, or that's absolutely crazy to me. Right? And I see so many people in the comments saying stuff like, D9 organizations are not the only ones who haze. And we all know that. Does that make it right? And that's what I mean about D9 organizations coming up with excuses to why these things are happening. And I'm mentioning this because of Caleb Wilson. But, like, this is crazy. I'm sure in between 2002 and 2024, so many people have lost their lives and got injured in the process. And I just don't understand, like, why no one holds they'll suspend them for, let's say, 4 years, but then they come back and they act like nothing happened. And I just don't understand it. I will never understand it. And I know why people are afraid to speak out against some of these D9 organizations, aka the Bloods and the Crips and everything in between. It's because we know they're not violent per se, right? They're very educated. These people have high jobs, high careers. They're in very powerful places. So you know that you'll be retaliated against, right? Because that's how they operate. But I'm one of those girls that, like, I'm not bothered by none of that. And I'm not afraid of it. I have so many people who have pledged, who are a part of these D9 organizations in my life. And I still say what I said. They get so upset when I mention it. And that's how I know that something about this isn't right. Because the fact that people are losing their lives at the hands of trying to pledge is diabolical.
If you're someone in your 20s, listen up. Understand that it is okay to go at it alone. I have been watching the updates about Caleb Wilson. I have seen video after video of girls' trip gone wrong. And as someone who is 38 and had to learn sometimes the hard way that you don't have to be everywhere with everyone and that everybody ain't your friend, it is okay for you to go at it alone. It may look appealing and you may even quest or thirst to want to be a part of a group. As human beings, sometimes we gravitate towards being within group settings, but sometimes trusting yourself is the only trusting energy you need to be putting out in the world. There are a lot of people out here who are friends for aesthetics and ain't no loyalty or love between them. They might look cute together. They might party and have a good time together. But when things get shaky, get sticky, get real, they are nowhere to be found. It is okay, and dare I have to say it again, to be an outlier, to do the opposite of what everybody else seems to be doing. To be the person that says, you know what, I'm cool on that. It is absolutely okay.
Okay, y'all got my video taken down. We're going to do this shit again. Rest in peace to Caleb Wilson, who lost his life tragically this morning. Caleb was a member of the Human Jukebox at Southern University. He was also pledging Omega Psi Phi. Now, early Thursday morning, Caleb was performing a ritual where he had to stand with his back against a wall. Caleb lost consciousness and was rushed to the hospital by his friend. Unfortunately, Caleb did not make it. At the age of 20, he lost his life. I'm going to say this. Caleb may have had an underlying medical issue that may have been triggered while he was doing this pledging ritual. But we're not going to sit here and pretend that people have not lost their lives pledging black fraternities and white fraternity. So how far does pledging go? And we're not going to play stupid. We all know when you go and you pledge a Divine Nine, you're going to be hazed in some way, form, or fashion. If you go to an HBCU band, you're going to be hazed in some form or fashion. Hell, I danced for an HBCU. I was hazed, but not to the point where I lost my life. Now, what I am going to say is Omega is going to have to answer to that boy's parents. They're also going to have to answer to the police and the school. How far does pledging go? And if Caleb happened to have an underlying issue that may have been triggered during that damn pledge ritual, it's still not going to make a difference. Omega Psi Phi is still going to be held responsible. And not just them. They're going to look at the whole Divine Nine. Y'all know when they look at y'all, they look at y'all as one. So once again, I am sorry for this young man losing his life. I hope and pray that the fraternity is not going to be held responsible, and maybe it was an underlying health issue. But if it wasn't, they need to start questioning these hazing rituals. How far is too fucking far?
I came across a report saying that a young man by the name of Caleb Wilson passed away yesterday. Passed away during an off-campus fraternity ritual. I'm going to read a part of the report that is coming from People magazine. On Thursday, February 27th at approximately 3:15 a.m. That is around a time where demonic practices are best. The devil is always at work, but peak hours, where spiritual warfare really hits, happens around that time. Wilson from New Orleans had reportedly been taking part in a ritual with members of the Omega Psi at North Sherwood Forest Community Park. You see, this will never make sense to me. We are allegedly one nation under God, Yahweh, right? But we don't have laws that prohibit cults, which are demonic. I would think that after one case of hazing, because this is hazing, I would think after one case, laws would change to ban fraternities and sororities. But no, I guess we need to reach a certain number of deaths before we shake and say, yeah, let's actually do something about it. If I were to be president, I would immediately do what Donald Trump did with Laken Riley's case. I would create a new law named after Caleb Wilson, if the family permits, that bans all fraternities and sororities. And if you are caught trying to participate in it, you will face prison time. If you are the one trying to impose your rituals, you will suffer a harsher punishment. So what's unfortunate is that you will have people that will hear about the story, get upset about this situation, move on from the situation without learning anything from it, and then they will still consider joining a sorority or a fraternity because they think that they will not die from it. You're right! You may not die from it. You may not die from it, but spiritually, you will be branded for life by these demons.
In real life, I don't play well on television. Let's talk about what we know so far about the tragic death of Caleb Wilson, a 20-year-old Southern University student who died while engaging in some type of what is now being called an unsanctioned off-campus pledging ritual with Omega Psi Phi. There's reporting that the East Baton Rouge Coroner's Office has completed the initial autopsy and the cause of death remains undetermined and initial testing is required. So I don't know enough about autopsy results to know whether that means there are no obvious signs of trauma or some type of medical condition that led to his death. If you have more insight, let us know. But what makes this so concerning, as we all have discussed, is that it happened in connection with some type of fraternity pledging process. You know, the students should not have been in a park at 3 a.m. in the morning, and it raises serious questions about what actually happened. His family has released a statement saying they want the truth. They hope that the facts will come out so that this will not happen to anyone else. At this point, there's still a lot we don't know. In fact, we know very little about what happened to Caleb, and the investigation is ongoing. A death like this, it's left his family, his friends, the Southern University community. Everybody's grieving and looking for answers. Praying for his family, and I pray that they get justice at the end of this process.
Wow, this is very, very powerful and so much disturbing. And so for this reason, I want us to delve more into this fraternity hazing. What really happened? And so many people never heard of this, particularly in Africa. We didn't see such things happening. Fraternity hazing, we never heard of such things. Now, while commonly associated with college fraternities, hazing happens in many different places. Incidences of hazing occur in many types of clubs, organizations, and teams in diverse settings, including middle and high schools, colleges and universities, the military and workplaces. Hazing is documented beyond post-secondary institutions. Fraternity hazing is any activity that takes place in fraternities on colleges and campuses across the U.S. These hazing activities fall into three categories: intimidation, harassment, and violence. Some examples of hazing are: first, deception; second, you are given demeaning names; third, it is verbal abuse; fourth is threats or implied threats; fifth is sleep deprivation; sixth is sexual stimulation; seven is forced consumption of alcohol and drugs; eight is beating, paddling, or other forms of assault; 9 is branding; 10 is water intoxication; 11 is abductions or kidnaps. Now, of course, there has to be dangers to such kind of activities. These are not normal activities to perform. Now, what are some of the dangers of this fraternity hazing? If not recognized, reported, and properly addressed, hazing can become a systemic and self-perpetuating problem. As a result, the environments where hazing most often occurs, which are street clubs, student clubs, organizations, and teams, are living learning laboratories for leadership development. If hazing is happening in these groups, then our leaders in training may be learning that humiliating, harassing, or violent behavior is an accepted or expected way to induct new members and build cohesion. You know, this is such a huge problem in the schools at the United States of America, you know. Now, despite the risks and the media attention that has been given to this hazing and the resulting injuries and wrongful deaths caused by this misconduct, fraternities often try to utilize access to resources that shield them from legal responsibilities. But we have something called FRIBAG. The Firebag National Law Group works hard to change the tide. Victims of wrongful death or injury in any form, from fraternity hazing to rape to unsafe premises, work together to hold fraternities accountable. So these people go to the extent of, graping people. Sometimes having a group can be a curse. Sometimes people say, I don't want to walk alone. I prefer sometimes you do things alone, There are things you can avoid by doing things alone, such as this fraternity hazing. You are doing things because of the peer pressure. You are being forced to conduct some things that you yourself would never do if you are by yourself. But because you are in a group, you have to show solidarity. You have to show loyalty by doing things which are uncomfortable to you. I believe that the death of Caleb Robinson is very unfortunate, and there is so many loopholes in the stories we are hearing. May the family of Caleb Robinson have peace. I personally offer them my condolences. Yes, this is EFK Original Documentaries. If you like what I do, kindly subscribe. I will surely appreciate for your subscription. And see you in the next one.